Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
We're joined now from the State of Israel, General Amir Avivi, a noted military leader, national security and foreign policy expert, and also a noted author. General, welcome to the show. We're delighted to have you here with us today.
Thank you very much. A pleasure.
All right, Eric, your turn.
So that our listeners should know that General Avivi, in addition to his past exploits as a brigadier general in the IDF, is the founder of the IDSF, the Israel Defense Security Forum, which is a leading think tank and influencer in Israel and abroad regarding Israeli security. And Amir is the founder of that. It's grown to tens of thousands of members of former IDF, former Shin Bet, and other national security experts. And I'm proud to say that I'm on the American board of the IDSF in the interest of full disclosure. So Amir's a good friend, and we're honored to have him here today. So Amir, welcome.
Thank you very much.
To start on a more somber note, today, of course, is Yom HaShoah, which is the Holocaust Remembrance Day. So in the United States, there are lots of speeches, there's a lot of recognition, a lot of sadness, but Israel has a unique way of remembering the Holocaust on the Yom HaShoah. Can you just share with our listeners what happens at a given moment that all Israelis do?
Yeah, so in Israel, basically it's 24 hours that start in the evening. It started yesterday with a ceremony, a commemoration led by the Prime Minister, the President, all the ministers, and many distinguished guests. Today in the morning at 10 a.m., all of the State of Israel stood as the sirens this time didn't announce rockets, but announced the memory of the 6 million Jews that were massacred by the Nazis in the most terrible way that somebody can imagine. And in schools, of course, all the pupils talk about that with the teachers. We visit the Museum of the Holocaust. In Israel, we really live the day of the commemorance of the 6 million Jews of the Holocaust. And I think that the Jews overall have a unique way of really remembering things in the past. The Holocaust didn't happen long ago, but we also celebrated Passover not long ago. We're talking about an event that happened more than 3,500 years ago. So definitely a lot of commemoration days.
So one thing one thought I have is the Holocaust, while it happened 80 years ago, is as relevant then as it is today, as we learned on October 7th. Of course, the difference was 80 years ago, there was no Israel, which made the Holocaust possible. On October 7th, there is an Israel, and Israel's fighting back for the survival of the Jewish people. And if you had asked a year and a half ago whether or not Israel is going to survive, some people might have said it was in the balance. But thank God today, I think it's fair to say that it not only is Israel's national security guaranteed, they're winning, and their enemies are on the cusp of defeat. So I think that brings the Holocaust and the Passover story to real life in today's world. But the dangers don't end. Iran remains the single greatest threat to Israel's national security, and of course, Iranian nuclear weapons program is at the top of that pyramid. The question I have for you is, there are currently negotiations going on between the United States and Iran regarding its nuclear program. My view of it is, why? Because the Iranians will never give up their nuclear weapons, and if they're willing to do that, they're going to want to have a civilian nuclear program, but they can't have that because they always use that as blackmail to ratchet up their enrichment to get more. So if they can't have that, they're going to want a minimum to have sanctions relief so they can have hundreds of billions of dollars in cash. But they can't have that because they're going to use that to fund their terrorist network, their military, and their hegemonic goals in the region. So my view is, what's the point of these negotiations whatsoever? I'm just curious, what's the reaction in Israel to these American-Iranian negotiations?
So I think that the Israeli people are definitely worried. They mainly remember the kind of negotiations we saw at Obama's time and also in the Biden administration. I can tell you, Eric, that we researched the last few weeks the media in Iran, and the Iranians are really feeling that they're having the upper hand, and that they managed to push away a possible military attack, and that they might be able to reach an agreement that will be favorable for them. I'm not sure that the reality is really similar to what happened with Obama and Biden. I think that President Trump understands that before you launch a military attack on a state like Iran, you need to build up internal and external legitimacy and really show that you did everything possible to reach some kind of diplomatic solution that will bring the complete dismantling of the Iranian nuclear program. But this needs to be very confined in time and very clear, and the demands needs to be clear. We cannot have Iran starting to talk it out for months and months. It's clear that they are moving fast towards nuclear capabilities. And the way I see it, I think that an attack on Iran is imminent, and we need an American-Israeli joint attack to really destroy the nuclear sites of Iran and their military capabilities. They are the head of the snake, and we need to bring down this Shia axis.
So during Obama's administration and John Kerry's negotiation, Israel was frozen out. It had no role. They were told from time to time what was going on, but their input was not asked for and was not given. I'm just curious, are the Israelis, to your knowledge, part of these negotiations? Are they having input into the American-Iranian negotiations?
I think that the level of coordination between the government of Israel and the administration is very, very close. We know that this week President Trump tweeted that he spoke at length with Netanyahu on the phone on the Iranian issue and also on other issues. And he mentioned that they are completely aligned and like-minded. We know that when the talks were held in Europe, both Dermer and the head of the Mossad were in town and coordinated with Witkoff. So I don't think this is a similar reality to what was at the time of Obama and Kerry. I think it's a completely different situation, and Israel and America are very much aligned. The big question is not the strategic ideas, but the tactics. How long are they going to hold these talks? What is the red line? When the administration will say, okay, that's it. If you don't dismantle immediately, the sites will attack. And this is what we're waiting to see.
Lights, camera, innovation. Walt Disney Studios chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform the movie-making process. Together, we kept a remote production hub in Hawaii in sync with a team in California to bring Lilo and Stitch to theaters this summer. This is picture-perfect collaboration. This is Walt Disney Studios with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
This episode is brought to you by Factor. Optimize your nutrition this year with Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal service. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved, ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from 40 weekly options across 8 dietary preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Eat smarter at factormeals.com/listen50 and use code listen50 for 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Factormeals.com/listen50, code listen50. T's and C's apply.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
So there's no question there's been a massive American military buildup in Diego Garcia. We've been sending all kinds of military, naval, and air support assets to Diego Garcia. So it's your sense that they're not there for a vacation, that their primary purpose for being there is to launch an attack on Iran.
You cannot have these negotiations without a credible military threat, a threat that is real, meaning that if the negotiations don't succeed, you will attack. And I think that we are at this stage. The U.S. is amassing a huge force in the Middle East. We see a huge amount of munitions being sent from the U.S. to Israel. There is definitely a very big buildup on the American side, but also on the Israeli side. From the moment Israel defeated Hezbollah, all the center of gravity of the military industries of Israel and of the Air Force and intelligence, this center of gravity has moved to preparations to attack Iran. So on one hand, we're dealing with Gaza, and this is more talking about the ground forces with some air support. But the Air Force is mainly preparing for its missions in Iran. We are in a unique moment in history where Iran's proxies, most of them have been destroyed or degraded dramatically. Iran has no air defense. They are weak. And we need to seize the moment and win decisively against this dangerous enemy.
So do you have a sense, I'm sure the Israeli intelligence services have looked at this, if there were to be an attack on the Iranian nuclear facilities and maybe the IRGC and its ballistic missiles and drone capabilities, whatever the attack may entail, is there any sense as to whether or not it would precipitate some sort of uprising amongst the Iranian people and overthrow the regime, which is relatively unpopular?
So before I answer that, I want to emphasize that an attack on Iran, a decisive attack on Iran, it's not the beginning of a war. It's the end of the war. President Trump has talked at length about him wanting to bring peace to the Middle East. Peace in the Middle East and stability will come by cutting the head of the snake. So a decisive attack that might take a week, 2, a month, whatever is needed, it's not going to bring a new war. It's going to end the war in the Middle East. And I think that the bigger the attack will be, the bigger are the chances that we'll see some kind of uprising in Iran. The problem in Iran with the opposition is that it's not united. You don't have a leader that is leading them. So it's complicated to see how exactly it will happen. But definitely, if the Western world would stand strong against Iran, this will embolden the Iranian people. And we might see some kind of uprising.
Jesse, Chairman Garcia, do you have questions for General Avivi?
General Avivi, thank you for your service and thank you for being with us. And, of course, your continued work with the IDSF. Just to pick up on what Eric was asking and was going to, where do you see, and I appreciate what you said, that there's a difference between the Trump administration and that of the Biden and Obama administrations in dealing with Iran, both diplomatically and in the support of Israel. But as we see military forces, mustering in the region, and the conditions of Israel have taken out the aircraft defense system of Iran. How do you foresee? I have two questions. Number one is, how do you foresee an attack taking place? What form would that take in terms of military assets? That's number one. And number two, going back to the uprising, that could possibly be encouraged following the attack on the regime. How would you see that uprising? And is there an ability for these various groups to come together for the common goal of supplanting these zealots, these religious zealots?
So, talking about the attack itself, I think it's very important to convey to the American people, we're not talking about boots on the ground. We're talking about a massive, continuous airstrike with the strategic bombers, with other aircraft, with missiles. Just as we see the U.S. continuously attacking now the Houthis, an attack that as time will go by will become more and more effective and degrading systematically the Houthis. The same we need in Iran. And in Iran, we need a simultaneous attack on all their capabilities, the nuclear sites, but also their ballistic missiles and military industries. We really need to degrade Iran to such an extent that the whole Shia axis, Hezbollah, Houthis, militias in Iraq, and so on, will fall with them. So it needs to be a very, very decisive attack. I think that if you don't attack the leadership the way Israel did with Hezbollah, it will be harder to see an uprising. If you don't deal with their internal capabilities to control the society, if you only deal with the nuclear sites and the military, the ballistic missiles, it will be harder to see the population being able to stand against the regime. In order to really bring down the regime, you need to attack the leadership itself. And the big question is whether the administration will put this as a goal, whether they'll focus only on the military capabilities and nuclear sites or on the leadership itself. If you target the leadership, then the chances of an uprising against the regime will be much, much higher.
General Avivi, this is Judge Weinberg again. My nightmare is that they're moving very, very quickly, that neither U.S. intelligence nor Israeli intelligence is really capable of telling you how close they are to this weaponization. And that we're going to wake up one day and we see that the talks have dragged on, and that we're going to have a situation like North Korea where all the intelligence agencies were blindsided and your enemy has nuclear weapons. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, we saw on the 7th of October that you cannot, trust intelligence 100%. There is always intelligence failure. There are always intelligence gaps. And because this is the reality, we need to attack as soon as possible. We cannot wait too long. And this is something that the administration needs to understand. We cannot take the risk of a nuclear Iran. A nuclear Iran will change the whole globe. We live in a completely different reality, and all of us will be in grave danger. So I think that it's important for Israel, for the Israeli government, to convey that to the president, to understand that we have a very unique moment. They are weak, and this is the moment to really attack fiercely and destroy this nuclear site. This will shift completely the balance of power in the Middle East and globally, and will enable the buildup of a Western Israeli moderate Sunni alliance that will be able to counter very effectively this Chinese, Russian, Iranian front that has emerged in the last 2-3 years in the Middle East and beyond, and really stabilize the region and the routes of trade and create prosperity globally and especially in the West.
So, Amir, just one last question about Gaza. Where are we in terms of any further negotiations with Hamas? I mean, my view is that we need to stop talking about hostage exchanges and ceasefires, and we just need to start talking about Israeli victory, and everything else will follow.